Hi, and welcome back to the fingerpicking series. Today we're going to start building on the alternating bass things that we learned last time, and we're kind of veering off in two directions, alternating bass and not alternating bass. So I would say the alternating bass track is a little more challenging than the not alternating bass track. At this point, there's really no reason why one's harder than the other. Classical music doesn't have a lot of alternating bass, and it's extremely challenging. And James Taylor played a lot of nice stuff without alternating bass. But at this point in this series, the alternating bass track is becoming a little more challenging than the other one. So if this is too much of a challenge, spend some time on the other track and then come back to this. I want to make sure you know also, just because I'm posting a new lesson each week with new material on fingerpicking does not mean you should be ready for the new material. I just like to keep developing new material. And some of you will be ready and some of you won't. It depends on how much practice time you have mainly, and it depends on some other things like your background and what you've already done before we started this class. This is a good time to be reminded about the three phases of skills acquisition. The first phase is cognitive, which means you're thinking about it and you're learning to understand it, and you talk about it with your teacher, or your teacher talks to you about it. You know what to do, but you can't make your fingers do it, and it can be frustrating and it can feel really awkward. And it takes a lot of repetitions to get out of the cognitive phase. And then comes the associative phase, where you have a little more ease. It's not as awkward, it's less frustrating, and you're starting to smooth out the rough spots. But what we really need when we're developing a finger style, really any musical expression, we need to get down there in the autonomous phase. That's where we're using skills that have become rather automatic. And with finger style, especially in the alternating bass styles, you need that thumb to get going on the beat, and it's automatic, and you don't have to think about it anymore. And you're thinking about other things like what chords you're on or the melody. And we have to have that. It's like, you have the thumb and the fingers have to work very independently. So it just takes lots and lots of repetitions. So be prepared to play lots and lots of repetitions, and be aware of how easy or hard it is before you move on to the next thing. You want to have, like when we build on these lessons, you want last week's lessons to at least be in the associative phase before you move on to something new. So with our alternating bass, last week I suggested that when your thumb was alternating, that you just take one other finger and play that other finger in between your bass. And then choose a different finger and play that finger in between your bass notes. It's a lot easier to focus on one finger at a time, and you're still getting some really good practice. And then do some practice with the other finger. When you have some relative ease with that, it would be a good idea to start using different fingers. Do it rather randomly. And you may accidentally develop a pattern of your own, or you might remain random, but the main thing is you're getting used to keeping the thumb steady and playing with your fingers in between the thumbs. This would be a really good idea. This would be a good time to check in with somebody who already plays guitar with an alternating bass, or a guitarist, and have them help you check on your thumb. This is a point at which a lot of students start getting a hiccup in the thumb, and the thumb's not steady, and they don't realize that their finger's jumping in when it ought to be a thumb or something like that. One thing we could do is, if you're on my mailing list, you'll get a link to our Everyone Can Jam private Facebook page. And or if you're in my guitar class, we also have a private page for guitar class. And either one of those places, you could post a video of you with your doing this lesson, and just to check and make sure your thumb is steady and even. So that's just a little caution. It's easy to get tripped up there, and we want to make sure your thumb stays steady, even on the beat. Let's see. That's really it for alternating bass today. Next week we'll move into a pattern that works well for lots and lots of nice folk style songs or country songs, and maybe some non-patterns. It's also a good idea to be able to play something other than your pattern when you want to start making your finger picking interesting. Maybe a book. I have a good book in mind for you guys too. So if you have any questions, if you have any trouble, leave me a comment, or go to the website www.everyonecanjam.com, and you can get in touch with me through that. I hope you're on my email list because I put things there I don't put anywhere else. And the guitar class is going well. You might enjoy that. And yeah, the Facebook pages. Communicating about music is so tricky if it's just words. It's really easy to misunderstand the question or misunderstand the teacher, but if we have a video contact with each other, both directions, that can help a lot. And it'll help other people too, because if you're making a mistake, I promise you, hundreds or thousands of other people are making the same mistake, just like any classroom. So it helps everybody, and it helps me learn what to do different. Okay, so have fun with that, and I'll see you again next time.